Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spring 2020 reading of Esprit. My name is Katelyn, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Esprit, the University of Scranton's Review of Arts and Letters. Esprit has always been a highlight of the semester for me. It's a chance to celebrate the work of students at the university community and to share their work in a different light than normal. And it's also a moment of pride for the staff who've worked so hard to put this magazine together. I'm so sorry to not be enjoying this moment with you in person in our Royal Theatre, but I'm also grateful that this video format gives many who, under normal circumstances, could not have joined us the chance to celebrate with us from the safety of your own home. Thank you all again. A lot of work goes into creating these magazines, and this issue came with a whole new set of challenges in the wake of remote learning and quarantine. That this magazine exists is a testament to the hard work of so many people who I would like to thank. First, Dr. Whitaker, our faculty moderator, has been present every step of the way, working with the editorial staff week after week as we prepare to react and vote on submissions. He teaches us how to approach work both critically and compassionately at the thematic, structural, and sentence level. As I struggled at times to adapt the magazine to the new circumstances this year, he both supported and challenged me and my team. Thank you. This magazine would not be what it is without your guidance and care. I want to thank those who are published in this magazine for your hard work and dedication to your art. Your skill makes the university a better place, and I am so honored to share your work with the community. It's not easy getting into this magazine. We accept roughly 20% of submissions, and you should be proud of your accomplishment, whether this is your first or fifth acceptance. I'd also like to thank those who submitted and were not published. Know that choosing pieces is always hard, and that your work is deeply appreciated. I also encourage you to keep submitting. It takes a bravery to risk submitting to something like this, especially if the work has a personal tone, and I'm grateful for anyone who can do that. I must also, of course, thank my incredible staff. This day is just as much about your work as it is those who are published. This semester threw a lot at us, and you have stuck with this magazine the whole time. I am so grateful for your work and dedication and could not have done this without you. Special thanks to Josh Rudolph for putting this video together and to my production team. Thank you to Amanda Tolvaisa, my wonderful production manager. You took on a lot of extra responsibility this semester with grace and ease. And Mary Purcell, who will be working as production manager next year, you stepped up and helped us out a lot. You two will make a wonderful team next year. I'd also like to thank the faculty and staff who promote this magazine in their classes and offices throughout this year. And thanks to Valerie Clark for working with us to print the magazine for the fall. Finally, a most special thanks to Melissa Eckenrode, the secretary for the Department of English and Theater. Melissa has been the guardian angel of Esprit for quite a while now, taking care of check-ins so that the staff can judge the submissions anonymously, and also dealing with all the small little issues we can't seem to figure out, often before we know they need taken care of. This semester, check-in got a lot more complicated, and you graciously dealt with all the complications and more. We are so thankful for your work and support. Now I'd like to hand the figurative mic over to Dr. Whitaker, who will announce the award winners. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the readings.
Hello, I'm Stephen Whitaker. I'm a professor of English and Theater at the University of Scranton, and I'm the faculty moderator of Esprit. Our spring 2020 issue is magnificent. The staff have come together in these very difficult times to do as good a job as we have ever done here at our wonderful magazine. One of the things I get to do is hand out awards for the genres. Now, let me say that we on the staff feel that everybody who gets into this magazine is a winner. It's very competitive, and what we publish is first rate by anybody's standards. Even so, we have 3 awards in 3 genres. The first is for Elizabeth Johnson for a photograph called Fridtjof Nansen. The second is for Kate O'Connor for a poem called Penrose Wake. And the third is for Alexis Ward for a short story called Into the Willow Wax. Let me say again, welcome to this beautiful magazine. Congratulations to this astonishing staff. I'm very proud of your work. Thank you.
This is with campfire in your hair. He teaches you that love smells of thick coffee, laughter melting distance. You're held by him like rib-caged handlebars. Together you conduct sounds of condensated windows and youth, while blades of grass preserve the time you and he wrote stories of bruised ink. With summer's end comes the fall. Regret lines your vowel-shaped lips, a sign of gratitude. After, he will send you look letters in the mail. Your calf mosquito-kissed the cat clawing at the sofa. Warm, wet eyes and an open mouth to your pillow.
Hi there, my name's Sam Marranca and I'm a sophomore history major. I want to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about my photograph that's been published in this edition of Esprit. So the title of my photo is Cloisters at Gloucester, and I got the title from the place where I took the photo, which was Gloucester. It's a beautiful little town in northeastern Massachusetts, north of Salem and Boston. So I was there about 2 summers ago visiting with my family, and I came across this place called the Hammond Castle Museum, which is actually a compound and a medieval castle that was owned and built by John Hayes Hammond Jr., who was a 20th century inventor. So I came to take a tour of this place, and I came across this little sanctuary with the cloisters, and I saw the Atlantic Ocean was right behind them. It was very open, and it was beautiful, and it was just about sunset, and the sunlight was it was hitting certain parts of the cloisters really beautifully, and there was this potted plant right in the center, made in a cement pot, that really captured the sunlight wonderfully. So I thought, you know what, I'll take a few pictures of it. This just sat in my camera roll for years even, and I came back to it on a whim, and I thought, you know what, maybe I'll see what I could do with this. So I actually didn't do much to this during the editing process. I only fixed a couple things here and there because most of the beauty came from the natural lighting and the scenery that I was able and fortunate enough to capture. So I'm really grateful that this photo has been chosen to be in this edition, and I'm grateful to the Esprit board for the decision to have me in it, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to talk about it. So thank you all very much for that.
When You Come Home by Aaron Kerr. We are together in uniform. We've just scored against the other team and won. And we're sweating, dirt sticking, and you put your arms around me, and we're jumping like children on a trampoline, and you tell me you love me. I steal every minute I can take in the mornings. Don't worry, we've got time. I don't move. This is the only connection we have these days. Dead smiles from a dead girl.
My heart is going to break my ribs. The doctor consulted his clipboard. Your heartbeat sounds regular, and your EKG came back normal, as did your stress test. There's really no cause for concern. Pain is no cause for concern. He raises his head, keeping his elbows on his knees. He looks like the baby monkey at the zoo. There isn't anything wrong with your heart or your lungs, nor do we have reason to suspect anything would be. You're a healthy young woman without a family history. That I know of. So I think you should not be worrying. That makes it feel worse than it is. He straightens, hands clutching his knees. Have you tried taking acid reflux medicine? The young woman rolls her eyes. It's not a burning pain, but yes, I tried. Okay, he checks something on his clipboard. And you don't recall recently lifting something that may have been too heavy? The heaviest thing I've lifted is my kitten. Okay. He rises, sets the clipboard on the counter behind him. Given that we've exhausted the physical options, except you won't give me an MRI or a chest ray, she says, leaning forward. The likely physical options, he amends, not quite meeting her eyes. I think you should consider that it could be an anxiety-induced event. Chest pain is a completely normal reaction to stressful situations, and sometimes it comes out of nowhere. Sticks around for a few hours, perhaps recurs over days or months. It could become an ongoing reaction as well, a way for your body to handle your anxiety around certain events or people. I recommend monitoring when your chest pain flares up. Maybe you'll find a connection between the pain and anxiety-provoking situations. Nodding, the young woman stares at the doctor. His eyes flick to hers for a second, then to her clasped hands. He clears his throat. If the pain persists and you can't discern a pattern, feel free to make another appointment. Of course, Dr. Keating, she smiles, still nodding. You'll be the first person I call. By the time she grabs her purse, Dr. Keating has hurried to his next room. As the young woman walks to the exit, a receptionist calls to her, Miss Delamond. The woman turns. Yes? Will you need a follow-up appointment? The receptionist asks. No thanks, Miss Delamond answers. He's answered my questions. Before the receptionist can notice the flush encircling her neck like a woolen scarf, Miss Delamond hurries out of the office.
I'm St. John Whitaker, and this is my photograph, Red Metal Mesh.
Hi, I'm Carly, and this is an exercise in simple algebra. 250 started as 200, but at 2:50 in the morning, I can't think of anything other than the razors and the desk lamp illuminated by about a fourth of 250 watts because 3 eggs cost just as much as 2.5 things from the dollar store that I can't afford to spend 2 hours and 50 minutes running away from the shrapnel that courses through the F4 tornado ravaging my sulk eye, dislodges a little over 3 handfuls of goldfish that spill onto my pillow with the rains of prolactin. Hi, I'm Carly Ashcroft, and this is The Anatomist. In earlier renditions of this life, her hand rested compulsively in Pledge of Allegiance fashion, keeping time with her internal metronome that she feared would one day stop. They learned about the inner workings of what they feared the most, the way cartilage transitions into the calcified cage around the heart, how muscles contract every other to pump life through seemingly too fragile vasculature. She held people's lives in her hands, split perfectly into gray and white, but how she hates gray areas. The synapse is silent, electrical firings extinguished by time or illness or thoughts. They taught those who came after them how to respect the chilled wax figures, how many people would be at their funeral, how to drape dampened fabric over areas not needed to be seen, how to bend frozen limbs into postures of life. She knows how it all works, and how sometimes the mind makes the body do things it shouldn't. But textbooks don't always suffice, and sometimes they just hang up their lab coat, toss aside their goggles, and place their latex-free gloves in the trash.
Hi, this is Bodo Johnson, and this is my photo, Fridtjof Nansen.
Hello, I'm Kate O'Connor, and this is my poem Penrose Wake. Penrose Wake. A uniform, twice grey, black ice in a sloping slip. Penny for penny, and thought again in the sunset, crumpled edges and shine orange. A match of you and me, forever ago, intertwined as useless, sunken into desperate, clutching at straws, reason enough to stay. Next, red feather flash in snow, pecking sunflower, called the Pope, for his trinkets are gutter trash. Hand rash, wash, cracked, soap and water cycle winter. Up and down scales rip in G sharp, time 3/8, 11/4, 13/26. Time we can change. Can we? Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Alexis Ward. I'm a senior English philosophy and Asian studies triple major. And today I will be reading an excerpt from my creative nonfiction piece, Into the Willow Wax. The city is the essence of all life. It rules man's being. My Mother's Journal, 1976. In the spring of your freshman year at the Cooper Union, Manhattan, C.W. Truesdale encourages your class to keep a journal. You do it because it's homework. You're already thinking ahead of this gen ed English assignment to the next 3 years of a chemical engineering degree. Physics tests you'll fail, infrastructure reports on the Philippines you won't, part-time jobs at department stores that will be out of business within the next decade. This summer, you'll plan a trip to Krakow, Poland, and take it again in the new millennium with a daughter who hasn't been born. But right now, you're trying to decide what shape your life will take, jotting down the pros and cons for the benefit of a professor who will die in 2001. The city is the essence of all life. New York, 76. A bicentennial fever has swept the city like COVID-19. Jimmy Carter's won the caucus. You scribble an account of the excitement of the city. You detest the boredom and limitations of country living, you say, and thrive in the Big Apple's bustling beat, but you won't remember that. What you'll recount at Christmas with your siblings is the way you stomped the floor to scatter the roaches, how you skirted suspicious sex shops on the corner of your Brooklyn neighborhood, how you held on to the slick poles of the subway cars with your sleeves so as not to touch the accumulated grime of millions of grubby hands. Should I allow a rural area to limit my existence to a series of insignificant incidents? A series of insignificant incidents. You graduate in 79. You take a job at a plant in Pennsylvania and get your driver's license a month before you move. One day you're driving in your blue, new to you, 1972 Bel Air when you see it. So striking that 40 years from now you'll still remember the thrill. In the city, concrete behemoths and 4 rows of traffic eat up real-view real estate. The sky a divider between high-rise Manhattan offices. But out here in the sticks, there it is. A canopy of leaves opening up in your rearview mirror like a bud. Back in 1976, you stop the entry in the middle and scroll a note at the bottom of the page. Do not believe everything I write. Some of my writing grows fictitious or exaggerated as it progresses. You don't know what you are thinking, you'll tell your daughter in 40 years. But she has a guess. Perhaps you had a sense, even then, of the direction in which your life would grow. Thank you.
I'm Mary Purcell, and this is Mother. In Nebraska, fluorescent lit walls and his light weight coffin. When he took him, why isn't he crying? From her arms collapsing, converting faith, her face numbing on cold tile. She vomited because. Her palms pressed together, fingers pressed into beads and beads and beads, and never enough beads to silence the.
Hi, this is Bodo, and this is my photo, So Sesh.
I'm Sarah Stec, and this is Orion's Desent. It wasn't your fault. The dark morning air seeps in through the car window, where his hand is draped across the sill. A lackadaisical cigarette hangs between 2 ready fingers, and my eyes follow the smoke. The rising bands encircle his fingers, tightening with each inhale, set loose into black air as he exhales. My mind drifts to the night air of the summer before, my feet bare against the earth as I stood waiting. My eyes watched the sky as my brother's fingers traced the constellations' outline, anchoring the stars to the deep vastness in a bond unbreakable against the universe. Tess, what did you say? My thoughts rise out of darkness. His raspy voice repeats, "It wasn't your fault." The car had driven us through the night, and the birds now begin their shrill morning song. I look up. His eyes are bloodshot. It must have been my fault. I watched as my brother crumbled before me, wailing voices joined his from the stark white hallway, flooding the unguarded places in my mind. It was too much to look at him. The tall, proud-shouldered boy was unrecognizable, hunched into the lap of our mother, I could see all the places where he had gone wrong. His steady posture morphed into a tense, convulsing frame. Clear eyes had gone hazy and searched in frenzied displacements. Deliberate lips now moved in whispers, words pouring out as unconsidered as breath. I explained to unwilling ears that he was broken. I directed a murky eye to where Fall had fallen. I tried to connect the pieces for them, the amalgamation of shattered glass. But they continued to see only gaps between the stars, and they turned away, blind to the constellations. They didn't understand Tess. The morning sun begins to see between his fingers. They look raw in the light. As the knuckles crack, the chapped fingers begin to bleed. The sun returns to spite the darkness. My eyes search the sky for where Orion had burned, and I breathe deeply of the stale air as my mind repeats the words. It wasn't your fault.
I Will Not Go Silently Like a Drizzle by Aaron Kerr. I was the kind of person who would leak down through the ceiling and fall into bed with you, rolled over, flat, collecting like a liquid does in some ambiguously shaped puddle that looks slightly like Texas from a certain angle. You made a mess of me. I started to change from a fresh, translucent glass to the muddy, brown thickness of March with every kick of your aging boots. I stained the carpet when I spilled too much, which only made you angrier, stomping on me like saying goodbye to your enemy's grave 6 feet under. I splashed up against your legs and held on, my color seeping through the threads of your dark gray moto jeans.
Hi, my name is Brooke Crymes, and I am a graduating senior English major at the University of Scranton. This poem, Blocked, is my first publication in Esprit. When discussing this poem with my poetry workshop, my classmates and I discovered that you can read this poem 2 different ways, and I will be reading both of them for you. The first way is reading it horizontally left to right. Blocked. Choke for pure oxygen from the boulder lodged in your being. Air narrowly navigates the spots around the knot nestled in your throat, your voice dulled to a whisper. The body functions under the weight of anger and frustration. Your organs operate in strain, a collective suffering with your stomach an ever-moving maze. Your heart desperate to keep this body beating, this person being. All the while, your brain becomes this incomplete thought, or rainbow of feeling, maybe something you cannot discern. With your heavy head, life trudges forward. Nothing makes sense in this mirrored hall, and words become useless to describe the battle you face. Your perception of your personal demise. The world around you is the shadow in the darkest night. The chatter of life seems so quiet now compared to the babble echoing in your brain of your dreaded agonies along with your fears. And still, the incessant noise of absolutely nothing but anxieties about the minuscule details of every single interaction you've ever had amplifies your porcelain headspace. But if your spine were to crumble under the crippling weight of the burden of breathing, I will wager what I own to bet you will never find the right words to describe any of your misfortunes. When discussing this poem, my classmates and I found that you can read each of the columns of this poem separately on their own. All the while, your incomplete thought, or maybe something with your heavy head, nothing makes sense, and words become the battle you face, your personal demise, the shadow and the chatter of life compared to the babble of your dreaded agonies. Brain becomes this rainbow of feeling you cannot discern. Life trudges forward in this mirrored hall, useless to describe your perception of the world around you is the darkest night. Seems so quiet now, echoing in your brain along with your fears. Thank you for listening. I hope you love this poem as much as I do. Have a good day.
Hi, this is Bodo, and this is my photo of Sook.
And that concludes our reading tonight. Thanks again, everyone, for coming and listening. Please leave nice comments of anything that you enjoyed. And you'll find the link to the new magazine in the description below. Thanks again. Stay safe. Stay well.